All right, looks like we're live. And as always, let me just make sure this is going out okay on the YouTube. No audio issues or anything like that. Come on. All right, sounds okay. Alrighty, so there's a few things I wanted to talk about. I was thinking of maybe making this stream entirely devoted to the first topic, but I don't know. We'll see. I will be focusing heavily on it, so if it's not something that interests you, this stream might not be of interest to you. A couple of topics here I want to talk about. Last night or yesterday, it was confirmed, although it's been all but known for a while, that the Sonic the Hedgehog comic at Archie is done. What's really sad about that is, I mean, it ended midway through a story arc, and they didn't even finish putting out trade paperbacks. Like, there were 3 volumes of the second Mega Man Sonic crossover, which volume 3 never saw the light of day and now likely won't. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to talk about John McCain's tumor, because I know that's the big story. And a couple other oddball things as I have time. Those are the 2 stories I feel like talking about. All right, so first, I want to talk about the Sonic comic. Nobody really knows exactly what caused this. It was obviously some sort of dispute between Sega and Archie. A lot of people are pointing the fingers at Sega, and while that's kind of likely, maybe that's not what did this. Archie here in the last couple of years as a comic book company has gotten it in their head that they're for more, that they're suddenly mature audience shit. That's, in 7 fucking decades of history, that's never been what they fucking did. But with like Riverdale, which is an insanely dark show, and then they relaunched Archie with more quote unquote realistic shit, and every other character is a fucking faggot or something like that. They seem to have kind of decided they're too good for what they actually made their original name for. Family friendly entertainment. A couple years now, Mega Man and Sonic were both extremely successful at their company. Sonic especially, but even the Mega Man comic from a couple years ago. I think it started in 2011. They were both big hits. They sold like gangbusters. The trade paperbacks especially sold crazy amounts of for Mega Man in bookstores and all, in the non-direct market, as they call it, which means everywhere comic books and trade paperbacks are sold that isn't comic book stores, which basically bookstores nowadays. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with expanding. There's nothing wrong with Archie deciding to do more adult shit. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when you expand, you should try to do so in a way that doesn't spit on or alienate your original customer base, your original fans, the people that put you in a position to be expanding in the first place. I mean, back in the 90s, Archie did that joke Punisher crossover. They've had more action-oriented stuff in the past. They had a lot of success with the Ninja Turtles in the 90s. Arguably, you could say Sonic's a bit more action-oriented. But even here recently, they did like mostly joke Archie crossovers with Predator and Sharknado that were very violent. And the joke was, a very cartoony style against the violence. And they weren't bad reads. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to do that kind of shit. There's nothing wrong with, wanting to do a show like Riverdale, that kind of stuff. As long as you don't decide you're too good for what actually made your name. You should always be trying to grow, but there's ways to do it. Now, the reason I say this might be Archie's doing is because despite being extremely successful, they just kind of gave up on Mega Man. Now, Mega Man had time to. Mega Man was allowed to actually, wrap itself up at least a little bit. It had a final issue and it was put on indefinite hiatus. But it never even got the. Uh, it never even finished trade paperback wise. Like the trade paperbacks reprinting that stuff never even. Like there was a Mega Man X crossover that was going to be the next trade paperback, and it had a solicit. It was listed on Amazon for pre-order for a while, and then it was gone. But Mega Man at least got some time to wrap up, whereas Sonic, they just had the wool ripped out from under them mid-story arc. And again, mid-story arc when it comes to trade paperbacks, like with the Mega Man crossover. So part of me wonders if it was Archie, because obviously they, threw away their Mega Man license. And maybe Capcom tried to charge them too much. Who knows? But part of me also thinks it's Sega. Here's the thing. Sega really, when Sonic became the games became more story driven and that kind of thing, Sega should have just taken a page from what the Sad AM cartoon / Archie comics were doing, because those were actually good storytelling. Yes, for kids, for family entertainment, whatever, but it was good storytelling. None of the games, and granted, I guess this is subjective, but in my humble opinion, none of the games have even begun to approach that level of storytelling. When they try, it's even more cringeworthy. Even the adventure games, I think, are hideously overrated. And then, outside of that, you get Sonic 06 or Shadow the Hedgehog, that kind of shit. But the Japanese developers at Sega, they just thought they knew best, than those American storytellers. Sega's finally pulled their head out of their ass a little bit by putting one of the ROM hack guys, one of the fan-made game guys in charge, and gave us Sonic Mania. So it is one step forward, two steps back. It's a very odd situation because it was a highly successful comic book. I mean, counting the spin-off series and one-shots and whatnot, this comic book had over 500 issues. Now, again, it wasn't just like the actual Sonic comic, like Sonic the Hedgehog. It had issues 0 through 3 of a miniseries, and then it got a full series 1 through 200 and some odd, just short of 250, I believe. Then there was Sonic Universe, which focused on ancillary characters within this world, which went on for, I think, 80 issues, something like that. There was a Sonic Boom series a couple years ago when that first premiered that went on for, I think, 15 issues, something like that. There was a Sonic X back when that cartoon, based on that cartoon, that went on for 40 issues, I believe. And then a couple little miniseries and a whole shitload of one-shots. They used to do a ton of one-shots back in the 90s. But that was the 90s. So yeah, it was something like 500 comic books. It was the most successful video game-based comic book in America, possibly, period. I don't know. I'm sure video game-based mangas probably do better in Japan than here, but certainly in America. The closest second to it is probably Tomb Raider, as far as I know, with 50 issues plus some one-shots over at Top Cow. And then there was a Dark Horse series here recently that I think, I don't know how many it's at. I want to say like 20 or 30, something like that. So even if you put them together, it doesn't come close to just the run of Sonic the Hedgehog, never mind spin-off series. And it was a damn shame. It was really... It was the best thing about Sonic the Hedgehog, aside from the original Genesis games. It was really the only damn near worthwhile thing about Sonic the Hedgehog, aside from the original Genesis games. And it was by far the best storytelling to ever be done with the character. Again, though, in some regards, that's not the highest bar. But yeah, it's a damn shame to see it go. And more than that, it's a damn shame to see it go the way it did. You know, ending mid-story arc. Won't even let the trade paperbacks catch things up. You know, I can't get volume 3 of the second Sonic Mega Man crossover. They did a side thing that wasn't in the, I guess, continuity of the main Sonic comic recently called Sonic Mega Drive, which was just a bit more kind of happy-go-lucky even than the original, than the regular comic. Gorgeous art, and it was based entirely off of the Genesis games. Basically, the only characters in it were Robotnik, or the Eggman they call him now, which I think is stupid. Again, Japan thinks they know better, and they don't. Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Amy. And it was supposed to get like 4 one-shots, I think it was, and then get reprinted in a solid trade. All one story. The 4th one-shot never saw the light of day now. And it's basically done. That's the weird thing. There are comic books that are essentially finished and will never be published. That's how much this got yanked out from under him. There's several issues that will never see the light of day that you know, people have finished. Oh yeah, it's a damn shame. It's a shame to see it go, you know. And actually, I kind of just gotten a little cousin into it too recently. I got him the Sonic Genesis trade paperback. I got him a couple of different things based off of like video games that he would recognize. I got him like the reprint of the Mario comics from Nintendo Power they recently put out. And yeah, he loved it. And, you know, I was going to get up more stuff like that, but, you know, who knows? The trade paperbacks may even get harder and harder to find, probably go up in price. It is a damn shame. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I might do something with Luke where I can actually get pictures up and just talk about next time I'm on with Luke and just talk about some of the better things worth checking out in it. Yeah, there's actually one guy I sort of knew. There was a guy, Daniel Barnes. He was kind of a left-wing dude, but I had sort of struck up a bit of a friendship with him, and then he just sort of basically stopped talking to me. You know, got triggered by something I had said. And I was going to have him, I actually invited him on here. I was like, you know, I know you don't like my politics, but I know you were a big fan of it. You come on here, you know, chat up with me and all. And he, you know, of course, fucking typical leftist, you know, they can't be fucking adults about anything. They gotta fucking take politics is entirely personal with them. Always has been. All right, well, yeah, it's a damn shame to see that go. I don't know whether it was Archie or Sega that was to blame. My guess is Sega, but who knows? A similar thing happened with a completely different company. Archie seems to think it's too good for this, and it's ridiculous because this is the greatest success the company's really ever had since probably the golden age of comics when they first premiered Archie. Yeah, it's a damn shame for them to do that. If anything, they should have been trying to repeat that success more. They should have hung on to Mega Man. They should have tried to push to get Nintendo properties and shit and done more of these kind of comics. You know, because they're franchises that have existed for so long, you can get young and old alike to check them out. All right, well, like I said, damn shame about that. But there is some happy news out there right now, and that is that worthless sack of shit John McCain is dying. So, you know, bad news and good news. Um, John McCain his office admitted that he has a very nasty brain tumor, which will likely kill him. If I was a betting man, I'd say before the end of the year, based on what I'm hearing about it. Again, that's if we were starting a pool. And yeah, fuck him. He absolutely has this shit coming to him. Fuck him. Um, you know, I'll be a good Christian and refrain from wishing that he suffers along the way. But yes, that tumor cannot end him fast enough. To hell with that guy. Now, maybe you could argue that the tumor is the reason he's been going so fucking insane lately. But I don't know about that. You basically got to say this tumor's been affecting his sanity since what? 06, 07 at the very least. I mean, he's always been kind of a weaselly little shit lib in disguise. But when he got to be hardcore crazy, let's fucking start World War III at the drop of a hat, and neocon was probably around then. I mean, shit. It pains me to say this, but I think we dodged a bullet getting Obama instead of fucking McCain. McCain would have started some serious shit on the world stage that I don't think we could have handled. Oh, by the way, all the pussies out there, they're like, don't disrespect the dying man. Funny, these are often the same motherfuckers who are like, oh, I hope Trump is killed. No, I'm fucking glad McCain is dying. Due to the nature of Arizona politics, and Razorfist did a good job pointing this out, just due to the nature of Arizona politics, that guy was never going to get voted out of office. Maybe we'll get somebody worthwhile in there now. But fuck him. I'm glad he's dying. All right? He is a piece of shit. As I said, I will show the restraint, to not wish a very painful death upon him. I may it take him quickly, but please God, may it take him. I mean, no, seriously, fuck that guy. Oh, no, you're so heartless, Bechtloff. You're sitting here mourning a stupid comic book, and here is a human being dying, and you're taking pleasure in it. Yeah, I am. Here's an evil human being who is doing evil things. All right. But he would. I can't remember the exact wording of it, but check out Razorfist video on McCain. He actually shows one time when McCain got caught basically, colluding with a Russian official, but it wasn't real. It was some Russian radio show in the morning, Dingo and the Baby or whatever the hell shock jocks they got over there. And, they called McCain's office and got a hold of McCain, and he thinks he's talking to some Russian ambassador, and he's doing the exact same colluding he is in a fever dream pretending that fucking Trump was doing. He's colluding against Putin. He's attempting to collude against Putin with this Russian official. He's attempting to interfere with the internal politics of Russia, the very way he accuses Putin of doing to us. He is a hypocritical, absolute piece of filth. All right? Honestly, if it were up to me, we'd wipe out his whole fucking bloodline just to be sure. But at least his worthless, fucking decrepit ass is dying. All right? Rotten hell, Songbird. The tragedy, though, is he'll probably be buried in Arlington or something like that. He ought to be fucking buried upside down in an unmarked cornfield somewhere. fucking ridiculous. So yeah, I am more sad about a stupid little comic book than I am John McCain passing, because that stupid little comic book brought joy to people. McCain brings nothing but fucking shit. Somebody says in the chat, why did the Lincoln Park guy off himself? I don't know. What is that? Why did the chicken cross the road? I don't know. Fuck, I don't care. It's Lincoln Park. Who gives a fuck? One day he fucking heard his music. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, a little bit more good news on top of John McCain. I want to say going to early grade, but not really. Motherfucker's like 180. But also I saw the San Diego Comic Con's going on right now. And, you know, I have to wonder, like, as Hollywooded up as that fucking quote-unquote Comic Con is, and I mean, granted, it is huge, so probably, but I find myself wondering, is there even a single motherfucking booth at that place that still sells goddamn comic books? Somebody says he killed himself because he realized he was in Lincoln Park. Yeah. But no, somebody tweeted this out. I retweeted it. It was pretty cool. Rocko's Modern Life is getting a movie, kind of a revival. It's not like a reboot where all the art is redesigned or something, but it does kind of take it from the 90s to the present day. And I loved Rocko as a kid, and just recently, maybe a month or so ago, I picked up at Target. They had it on sale for like $15 or something like that. The complete DVD of Rocko's Modern Life, and that shit still holds up. Rocko's Modern Life is easily the best thing that Nickelodeon ever fucking aired. Now, I mean, granted, that's not the highest bar because, you know, yeah, but yeah, Rocko's Modern Life's fucking fantastic, and I'm glad to see it back. But it kind of got me thinking about something. I wonder if like little kids would even know what the hell Rocko's Modern Life is. Now, the reason I wonder that, and what's different from possibly, you know, I don't claim to have my finger on the pulse here, but possibly kids from today to when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I watched a lot of shows and a lot of cartoons that were well before my time. When I was really little, I used to fucking love Scooby-Doo. And I mean, Scooby-Doo, whether it's like the 70s, you know what I mean? It was 20 years before my time, basically, you know, the late 80s and 90s. You know, a good 10 years before it was born. But I still loved it, and it was on a lot. Likewise, Looney Tunes got run a lot when I was a kid on TV. And other cartoons from that era, like Popeye, for example, and that kind of stuff. I don't know of anywhere on TV where they run the original Looney Tunes anymore. I don't know of anywhere on TV where they run a lot of old shit like that anymore. Now, maybe it's because we're so fucking pussy and sensitive nowadays. I mean, you know, Looney Tunes, you know, might be too fucking racially insensitive anymore. But that shit used to be on all over the place when I was a kid. And I don't really see it anywhere on the channels these days. I don't see a lot of older stuff on the channels these days. Now, maybe I'm out of touch and I'm just not seeing it. Yeah, like, I mean, would a kid these days even, like, know what the fuck Woody Woodpecker or Popeye is? Some of the more lesser-known shit. Tom and Jerry, maybe even. I mean, I don't even know if that shit gets rerun at all. Likewise, you'd think a lot of cartoons from the 80s and 90s would get rerun, because when I was a kid, a lot of cartoons from the 60s and 70s got rerun. I mean, you know, Nickelodeon went and bought the Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean? They just bought that property, whole cloth. And they've produced their own Ninja Turtle cartoon. Okay. Well, you'd think they'd also be airing the other Ninja Turtle cartoons. You know, there was obviously the, you know, late 80s, early 90s one. And then there was the one that started in 2003, which is surprisingly good. There was also even that really short-lived live action one that was fucking terrible in the mid-90s. But still, you'd think they'd be rerunning this shit, you know? Because, I mean, you own this crap. You might as well throw it on the fucking air once in a while. I wonder if it's partly the PC culture and all, but yeah, I mean, has Nickelodeon like ever in the last few years rerun Rocco's Modern Life? You know, would a kid even know what the fuck it is? I mean, maybe a kid would know what the fuck Rugrats on because for whatever damn reason that never stopped being on the air. I don't know how the hell that show went for like 10 fucking seasons. It's like an eternity in kid show time. And that show sucked from minute one. Tom and Jerry was awesome. Tom and Jerry was awesome. Those older cartoons from around that time were absolutely amazing. I mean, you could be fucking 90 years old and still watch a Roadrunner and Coyote cartoon and laugh at it. It's just amazing physical comedy. And, you know, the outstanding music, usually like a full fucking orchestra behind these cartoons and shit. The just amazing artistry went into these fucking things. Yeah, again, you can everybody in the chat's like Rugrats was cancer. Yes, Rugrats was definitely cancer. Ugh. Somebody says my grandfather used to watch Animaniacs constantly. Dude was 70. Yeah, my dad watched Animaniacs with me as a kid. And Animaniacs is one of those things. You'd think that would get rerun more. I saw it briefly getting rerun, and this was probably 2-3 years ago on Disney XD, I think it was, or no, not Disney XD. What the fuck was it? I don't know. Some fucking cartoon channel that was like, you know, well into the hundreds or something. No, it wasn't Disney XD because that was a Warner Bros. Cartoon. It wouldn't have been. It was on the channel that ran My Little Pony. Because I remember there was constant fucking My Little Pony show, the cartoon, or commercials. Somebody says Ed, Ed, and Eddie was shit. I love that show back when I was Ed, Ed, and Eddie was the shit. No, I think it was shit, actually. That's one of the Cartoon Network cartoons I thought was terrible. I mean, I liked like Powerpuff Girls or Dexter's Lab, but Ed, Ed, and Eddie was terrible. I mean, it's a few steps above like Kids Next Door. That fucking abortion. Let's see. Looney Tunes is still kind of around on the WB channel, but most of them are geared towards little kids. The classic characters are kids. There was a Looney Tunes cartoon on Cartoon Network recently just called like the Looney Tunes Show, and it was sort of like everybody was reimagined in like sitcom roles, like Bugs and Daffy were roommates, and it was actually pretty damn funny. Kristen Wiig did the voice of the bunny, the girl bunny from Space Jam, only she was like this crazy, obsessed ex-girlfriend of Bugs Bunny or something. It was fun. Let's see. The Hub Network. Yes, that's what ran Animaniacs. And they ran Tiny Toons too for a little while there. Animaniacs was damn brilliant. Very good at putting adult humor in there, but not in that degenerate way they do now where they're trying to fucking pause kids and get them to like, you know, explain anal sex to a 6-year-old or something. But no, just kind of little subtle thing in the background that, you know, if you're old enough to get it, you'll laugh. If you're not, it'll go right over your head. That's how you do that kind of thing. Somebody says Bug's voice is not the same without Mel Blanc. Yep. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. The new guy, he's doing a good job. But those are hella shoes to fill. Yeah, there was when I was a kid, they still even showed the fucking like they showed like Looney Tunes like Boskar Willie and shit like that, like just the blatant fucking the blatant fucking good old fashioned American racism in there, and those were great. So he says, Bechtloff, have you read the Looney Tunes DC crossover comics yet? They're brilliant, especially Batman Elmer Fudd. Batman Elmer Fudd was good. I read that. I read Martian Manhunter, Marvin the Martian. It was good, and I read the Wonder Woman Tasmanian Devil one. That was good. Yeah, those are the ones I read. They were all pretty damn good. SpongeBob is still going on. It's the Simpsons of children's shows. Afternoon and Saturday morning cartoons were good times. I hate I took them for granted. Yeah, it's a shame that that's not a thing anymore. It really is. And the afternoon animated shows, you really owe those to DuckTales. DuckTales was the first time one of the studios put real effort and real money behind a syndicated children's show that would, air during the week. And from that, I mean, you had an explosion. Disney did obviously tons of shows after that. Chippendale Rescue Rangers, DuckTales, and Tailspin, which I never cared for, but a lot of people did. And then a few shows that were decent based off of animated movies, like the Aladdin show was all right. And I think they did like a Timon and Pumbaa show. And I think they did like a Little Mermaid show, which is like a prequel show to the fucking movie. All very successful. All made them tons of money, decent kids programming that adults could stand to watch, maybe even enjoy on their own, And then obviously from there, Warner Brothers, they wanted in on that fucking, holy shit, there's money to be made here. So they did Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and shit like that. DuckTales was so good for like you can go on YouTube now and you can watch things on DuckTales. And I remember it. I always like the episode where they learn about inflation because they had some like magic fucking gun or something that could shoot something and make two of it. So they just kept duplicating their money until like the town is just flooded in money, like sweeping it off the streets, like shoveling it like snow. And the money's just worthless. It costs like $1 million to get a haircut or something. And again, it's just amazing that, the writers of a children's show had better understanding of economics than most of our leaders. The other thing I remember as a kid, and again, it comes back to watching the old stuff, and that's something I just kind of fear kids don't get these days. When I was a kid, I would watch DuckTales, and then that would get me interested, and it would make me want to watch older Disney cartoons with older Scrooge McDuck cartoons, even that kind of thing. I'd want to see the things before my time. You know what I mean? Again, you watch Tiny Toons, and it makes you even more like I remember Tiny Toons. They had the Dodo character, and it made me like I was like, is that based off something I didn't know? And it made me curious, and it made me want to find the original Looney Tunes with the Dodo character that was based off of. And one day I actually saw it at the video store, and it was on the back of like a Looney Tune collection VHS or something. But yeah, that was it made me want to see the stuff before my time. And I just don't know if kids get that these days, Let's see. The Johnny Quest reboot from the 90s. I kind of remember that. The thing that sticks in my head the most is that they gave Race Bannon a redhead daughter in that I guess was like Johnny Quest's girlfriend or something. And it just was it was so obvious why they did that. They wanted to knock down all the gay jokes about the original. But yeah, I remember watching the original even as a kid, and Bechtloff, are you going to see Dunkirk? Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what that is. I know I've seen something about that, but I can't place it. I'm having a brain fart there. What else did I want to talk about? What we got in the chat here? Yes, Mike Pence looks like Race Bannon. Beckler, all right, I read that. Okay. Apparently, Davis is doing a stream after me, so check that out. I'll probably listen to that while I'm. I dug out Saints Row 2. I've been playing that a little bit here recently. I love that game. Saints Row 2 is the best Grand Theft Auto game. I dug out 3 too, which I had, and I don't like 3 as much. There's less to do. I find there's less. I don't know. I like doing that, and some people might even find this shit tedious, but I like doing the stuff where you upgrade your crib, and like one of my favorite things to do in Saints Row 2 was to collect as many oddball vehicles as I could, and I'd find some oddball vehicle you don't see it. Like I found a fucking like I stole the baggage cart from the airport and drove it back to my garage, and then once it's part of your garage, then I take it over to the mechanic. And, do it up in the gang's colors and shit like that. I like those little oddball things on the side. So he said he's gone full neat. Yep, neat life is the. I fucking hate the neat life. Somebody said Ren and Stimpy made me vomit. Yeah, even as a kid, Ren and Stimpy was hit or miss to me. It was very dark and nihilistic even, and I just never cared for that shit. To be honest, other than Rocco, I was never a big fan of any of the Nicktoons. Doug was so fucking nothing. Rugrats was cancer. Ren and Stimpy was shit. No, Ren and Stimpy had its moments at least. Rocco was damn good. There was one that there was one called Kablam, and it was like a sketch show, and like there was one where it was like this weird superhero team that was made of action figures, and there was another sketch where it was Prometheus and Bob, where it's like these lost tapes of an alien trying to teach like basic technology to a caveman. They were pretty good. I remember them being pretty good, but again, I haven't watched them since they were new, when I was a kid. So he says Doug is as exciting as the character's name. Yeah, you're not wrong. I can't believe that went on for as long as it did. And then Disney thought, oh, this is great. We need to buy this off Nickelodeon. We need to give this an Action League now. Yes, that was the superhero name. Thank you. Oh, that was great. Good stuff. So he says Doug was a bitch, nigga. Okay. So he says it was called Prometheus. It was Prometheus and Bob was the name of it. Kablam was the tits. Yeah, I liked Kablam. Yeah, that was a great show. The other show I liked as a kid was I was like 12 or 13 when this came out, I think, but it was maybe 11 or 12 even. It was The Secret World of Alex Mack with this chick that got like superpowers from some chemical spill. But then again, I think because I was like 11 or 12, I think I just had a crush on the chick or something. So he says, I'm looking at Prometheus and Bob right now. Looks hilarious. It is great. So he says, I always hated Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, I'm with you on that. In fact, one of the VidMe vids I'm going to be doing is I thought about doing like a tribute to the Sonic comic on the VidMe channel, but I'd rather do it when the topic was more fresh. And Luke can only churn those things out so fast. So I might just do like down the line, like here's the best thing that it ever did or something. But the next video coming out is going to be a quick little one on DSP. And then after that is going to be like the top, I don't know, 5, maybe 10 things that are popular that I don't like or that I don't get. And definitely one of them is going to be fucking Dragon Ball Z because I just do not fucking see the appeal. Doctor Who's probably going to be one of the things on that list where it's like I don't get the appeal. I almost kind of want to put Star Wars on that list, but it's like I get why people like Star Wars. I just don't get why people like it that fucking much. That no matter how much shit that franchise, no matter how many times that franchise shits in your mouth, you line up for more. I don't get that. Somebody says, thoughts on the theory that Princess Sally launched a whole generation of furries, Bechtloff? Well, I will say that, you definitely want to have your save search on when you're Googling Princess Sally, but I don't know if you can really lay that phenomenon strictly at her feet. I mean, Gadget from Rescue Rangers predates her a little bit, doesn't she? I would say it probably contributed a little bit to it. Let's not kid ourselves there. Somebody says Doctor Who sucks. Really, it's a Brit thing. They actually did a Doctor Who Star Trek: The Next Generation crossover comic book a couple years ago, and I checked it out and I liked it. I mean, more for the TNG because I really liked that as a kid. But before it came out, it made me want to do a little research on Doctor Who because, I wanted to understand what the fuck was going on in the comic book. And I'm just a sucker for crossovers. That's why I checked it out. And I like TNG. So I did a little research on it. The mythos behind Doctor Who I like. The actual kind of, I don't know, world building, whatever you want to call it. I think there's really interesting stuff behind it. It's just the actual execution, at least when you're getting to the modern, since the mid 2000s when BBC brought it back. That's when you're, it's just too fucking paused. It's just too fucking paused is the problem, really. And it's not particularly well done storytelling. Some of the older Doctor Who, though, I can really appreciate why that was liked. The other thing I'll say, Doctor Who completely shoots in the ass all those people that whine that like the problem with comic books is too much continuity. That's such horse shit. Look, if you don't like comic books, if you don't like superheroes, that's fine. But don't tell me, it's too much, I don't know where to start. It's fucking retarded, all right? There was 30 years of Marvel continuity when I started reading. Just fucking hop in. You'll catch up, all right? And likewise, everyone who says that, Marvel and DC, the real problem is all this continuity. Doctor Who became its most popular ever when there was decades of continuity, much of which you couldn't even get. Some of the original fucking Doctor Who episodes were lost. In fact, recently BBC took the audio of an episode because that's all that was left and animated it from like old Doctor Who. And yeah, all that fucking shit counts. It's all one fucking story because even when he changes actors, it's because he's reborn. Which is a kind of a cool way to explain, to keep the franchise going forever, I guess. As long as you still have stories to tell. Something I just found out. The same guy who voiced Stimpy also voiced Doug and Roger on Doug. Well, good voice actors, and this is something that we don't have enough of these days. Good voice actors are rare because these days, because they're a talent. I mean, part of the problem now, a good voice actor is someone that can do just tons of voices. You'd be amazed if you're my age and you go back to the cartoons you loved as a kid. You'd be amazed how many how many different cartoons a given voice actor was in. But nowadays, part of the problem is these big animated movies are on this huge budget and they want to get the recognizable stars. So that's how you end up with like Angelina Jolie in a fucking animated movie, or shit like that. It's such a shame. It really pushes out the talented voice actors. Let's see. People arguing over whether Beavis and Butthead was good. I don't like the very early Beavis and Butthead when it's just strictly fucking shock value, like animal abuse and shit like that. And that doesn't sit well with me. Later Beavis and Butthead and the original run, when it just became like two dumbasses doing dumb shit, I didn't mind. Let's see. Billy West, voice of Stimpy / Doug. I didn't know that was Billy West, actually. He's probably the most talented voice actor of our time. He did half the main characters on Futurama. Yeah, he did. I didn't know he did Zoidberg, but I did know he did Fry. The guy who does Bender on Futurama, or did, I should say, also did the dog in Adventure Time. Let's see. Futurama was great. Futurama was one of the best animated shows of the last several years. Let's see how long I've been rambling on here. Why is it not showing me? It's telling me 15 seconds? That's not right. Come on. I don't know why it's doing that all of a sudden. It's not going to tell me how long I've been going on. Oh, it's because it's stuck on here. It's not playing right. All right, well, I've probably gone on for a little while. And then I want to just ramble on when I don't have much to say. 48 minutes, 47 minutes. Okay, well, that's not too bad. All right. Well, I'm going to probably wrap this up shortly. I'll check the chat one last time. If you enjoy the show, there's the tip jar down there. Tips of any size are greatly appreciated. Because I got to dry my tears over the loss of the Sonic comic. And I gotta get myself all nice and hydrated for when it's time to piss on John McCain's grave. But no, seriously, if you enjoy the show, check it. Tip jar is greatly appreciated. And as I said before, I'll repeat it in case you didn't catch it. I will not be doing a stream for Saturday. I got some personal shit going on. And I'll try and maybe do one Friday and Sunday. I'll do a little extra this week. I might do one tomorrow night, maybe Sunday. But yeah, I believe Arini will be starting to stream shortly after this, so you can check that out. And do check out the VidMe channel if you haven't. There's 3 videos up there. It's vidme.com/thebechtloff, I believe. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of good crap that they tell you. And that's all I got for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.